Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us. This is Sunil Chandy, and this is Food for Thought. Again, a ministry out of Christ Episcopal Church. Thank you for watching and connecting with us on Facebook Live, maybe even on our website and the various platforms that we have, maybe even on Vimeo. And this is a time just to kind of simply say hello. And if you are here watching, please do say hello. Yes, and Marcia Bean, you're here watching. Thank you very much for being a part of our group of people who are watching, the fan base, as it were. But please do say hello. And so far, there are at least 5 people on, 4 to 5 people on, just watching and touching base with us. Today, we have an amazing show, a kind of a wonderful guest who's going to be here from the diocese. And it's always great to have the diocese involved with our ministry and kind of touching base with us and helping us to kind of connect with each other with the larger work in Rhode Island, the Christian work in Rhode Island. Today also is a beautiful day. I know it's a busy day it was just busy already, one meeting after another. In the midst of this COVID challenge, I find myself very, very busy. But I love it. I think it's a beautiful and wonderful thing to be busy, and especially when we're busy about the work of God and Jesus in the midst of our community. And so, but let me go into a little bit of the work of the diocese, especially with our guest today. Our guest is Kristin Knudsen Groh, and she is the communication director of the diocese. She's a lifelong Episcopalian and a returning Rhode Islander. She grew up in Warwick, where her father was the rector of All Saints Church in Warwick, and she has worked in publishing, in municipal administration, and nonprofit administration. She's also been active in the leadership of her parish, St. John's Church in Newton, Massachusetts. I met her. I think Kristin has been here for at least a year, and I've just been very impressed with her. And she's so calm, and there's a sense of peace about her. And knowing that she is a PK or a priest kid is really interesting. And I know that we'll have a great conversation with her. So, Dave, why don't you bring Kristin on? Hi, Kristin. How are you?
Oh, I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Oh, it's good. Very good. I remember when I first met you at a diocesan event. You were so calm and that was where everyone else was a little bit active or dynamic. Well, not dynamic. I would say anxious is probably the word for it. I think it was a couple of months before we actually had the COVID crisis.
It was. I think we might have first met at the clergy day last Advent.
Yeah,
that's probably it.
Yeah, and it was wasn't like always. Whenever I go to the diocesan events, it's really interesting. Some of the because everyone deals with their own issues and their own local situations. But it was great meeting you. It was also and I'm so glad that we're connecting in this way.
Me too. I think this is great. I love what you're doing here with this show.
Yeah, it's interesting because when we started this was more like a way to just keep everyone together and connected, right?
Right.
And then try to provide some kind of encouraging word so that they would be able to kind of, be able to handle the challenge.
Right.
And it's been really interesting, and it's been, and gratifying because we've got not only people from, our community, West Stonington, so all over the U.S. and out of the country. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's really wonderful. But I would love to talk a little bit about you and your philosophy for being the communication director. But first, I got to ask you. I mean, we talked a little bit about this. You're one of 2 children and your father was a priest.
My dad was rector of All Saints Pontiac for 16 or 17 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Before that, we were at St. Luke's East Greenwich. So,
Oh my God.
yeah.
And my father was a priest also in the Church of South India, and
Mhm.
I know that and that when you're a PK or a priest kid, you're kind of like in a fishbowl.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, and I know, like you and I also. There's another. What was that again?
It's an interesting way to grow up.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And the other thing is that you're the elder sibling, yeah,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
same with me, And there's like, and I kind of can sense why I feel that sense of peace in you. I mean, there's a sense that um, you're mature. You know how to handle stuff. You know.
Well, I think that growing up in the fishbowl, as you say, does lend itself to that a bit. You sort of learn how to keep it calm and keep things even, sort of try and, I don't know if it's setting a good example exactly, but you know that people are watching you, so you
Yeah.
try and keep it okay.
Right.
And
Right.
you get used to it, I think, really is what it just amounts to.
It's funny though, because I find that other kids, kids who are kids of pastors or priests, um, there's two reactions. One, you embrace your faith, or one, you rebel it against,
Relevant, yeah.
right? And so you've embraced it. You've come back to it, or I guess.
I think, well, for me, there was a little bit of both. As a teenager, I did the teenage thing. I didn't go to church much, although I was involved at the conference center, so I was there a lot. I was very involved in ECC. I was a counselor and all of that. But when it was Sunday mornings, I was not so regular as a kid, and even in my 20s. But as I grew older, it just called me back, and especially when I got married and had a family of my own and wanted my son to be brought up in the church. And so I came back and went all in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. I mean, I could, my life parallels that too. I mean, I left. I was involved with youth activities all through my high school, but then when I got into college, I really left religion for a while. I mean, I think we all go through this
I
crisis.
think most of us do at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I remember telling my mother once that when she was coming to pick me up to go, because my father was a priest down in Philadelphia, I was up in New Jersey and North Jersey. They'd drive all the way to Philadelphia, and
Yeah.
they'd pass through the University of Rutgers. And I
Right.
remember one night, after studying really hard and then partying really hard, uh, they come up at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning to pick me up to go to church. I was like, I don't want to do it. And
Right.
it's so funny because my mother, I said to her, I don't know if I'd believe this anymore.
Mhm.
And she was, oh my God, she got crazy.
Right. Scandalized.
No, my God, it was terrible.
Yeah.
But I think that's what, but then afterwards, I got back into the community because the community was very strong in helping me deal with my father's illness and death and so forth. And so I'm sensing that that's almost a parallel. I mean, there's a sense that the community was very important for you. It seems like.
Absolutely. And I think that is so much of um, what being a person of faith sort of calls me, and it's about community and the strength that one gets from being part of a community of other believers, and sort of having them to support you in your belief and help you through your unbelief as it happens too. So
Oh, I love that. Yeah, unbelief. That's beautiful. You're such a pre-K. It's wonderful. Oh, how old is
out there, my dad is laughing at it too.
Lord, Lord, help my unbelief. I love that. That's beautiful. I was going to say, what about, how old is your son?
He is 22, just
22.
about. Yeah.
22. Wow. And does he live here in Rhode Island also, or?
He's living in Massachusetts.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Beautiful. Yeah. I have three kids also. My eldest is 21, just turned 21.
Nice.
And yeah, and then I have a 20-year-old, and then I also have a 17-year-old, 16-year-old. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's interesting.
It's a wild time with the teenagers and high school. And how is everything going with them with school?
Oh, it's going. I mean, I think they are, one is at Connecticut College, one is at Siena College, and they loved being dropped off at school. They love it. It's like, I mean, one is only a half hour away. He's coming home. He says, "Dad, I'm going to come home, do the, hopefully you'll have some dinner for me, and
Let
then
me do laundry.
yeah, let me do laundry." That's what he's doing. And then, but then he's got to go back home for the weekend, or back to school for the weekend. So it's really interesting. And then I have the third one who's in a boarding school in Vermont.
Okay.
And so he's doing okay too. He's doing all
Good.
right. Yeah. So I mean, in terms of this community, this diocesan community,
Mhm.
I mean, you were part of the diocese community before, and then you left to Massachusetts, and then you came back here.
Yeah.
What do you find out? What do you think about our community, diocese community? What are its strengths, and some of the places that you think that you as communication director will help us overcome in terms of our weaknesses and challenges?
Okay. Well, I think it's been really a delight actually coming back here, back to Rhode Island. I've left to go to college. That's why I was in Boston and just stayed there for a long time. Was married and was there. But I've come back here now, and I was fortunate enough to get this position with the diocese, which I'm really so pleased to be able to do. And I think it's been interesting. I mean, this certainly never, no one ever saw any of this coming, right?
Oh
So
no, yeah.
it's been a ride since I got here I started just before convention last year. But I've been so impressed with the resilience of the communities here and the creativity and the just the willingness to say, okay, well, this is what we've got. Here's what we're going to do with it. And everyone getting online. I know that most parishes in the Episcopal Church in Rhode Island were not crazy about doing things online for worship previously. Was edging their way in very carefully and slowly, if at all. But this happened, and everyone just jumped in. Okay, this is what we have to do. This is how we need to reach our people, and that's been really amazing to watch. And I've been really pleased to be helpful with that in any way that I've been able to. So that's just been, it's been a really impressive thing to be a part of and to see. And I think that is definitely a strength, and that's something I want to continue to build on in sort of helping people to sort of come up with solutions to these issues and facilitate connections between the parishes, between people doing the work of this online worship and communicating with each other, communicating outside of themselves. I want to facilitate the connections.
Yeah.
That's really it. I mean, I think it's so important to be not just part of whatever little community you're in terms of your parish, but then to sort of keep going outward from there. How does your parish then connect to the diocese? How does this diocese connect to the rest of the Episcopal Church? How does the Episcopal Church in America connect with the Anglican Communion? We're all a community, and that is where we get our strength as Christians, I think, from community.
It's beautiful. I love it. That's exactly. I mean, and I've got to tell you, you have been very helpful to us. I get the newsletters, or the not the newsletters, the emails that you sent out, and I read them, and I go, and I love it. I mean, I love what it really keeps me informed. It keeps me, and then you're also, I mean, you and Dina are a good team. Dina's been also new. Yeah, both of you have been new to our diocese, but it kind of it's a breath of fresh air. I mean, and especially I know he came in like really at a challenging time. But
It's been a challenge, but it's been gratifying in a lot of ways.
yeah,
And of course, it's been very interesting, and it's kept me busy.
right, exactly. And so I kind of think that God led you to us. I mean, I don't think there in any situation. My personal faith is that we're whatever situation we're in, we have the people that we have because God has brought us those people. And so and I love the way you put it, because I think I'm so gratified to hear that other churches in our diocese feel the same way, that they are meeting the challenge of the moment,
Mhm.
not running away from it, you know?
No, no, people have not been running away. They've been sort of staking their claim. Okay, this is what we're going to do now, and it's great.
Right. And I think that's the only thing we can do, right?
Yes.
And I think, like, in the midst of it, we're finding, I know Christ Church is finding moments of grace. I mean,
Mhm.
this is like this is one of our creative ways of meeting the challenge, right?
And
And
it's a
all what was that? I'm sorry.
terrific one. I think was a really neat idea that you came up with, and you're keeping it going. And you know, we all need this. I think we all need our ways of connecting and hearing from other people as this drags on, and we still find ourselves spending so much time sort of in our little bubbles and in our homes.
Yeah, yeah. And that's it exactly. I mean, I've one of the things that I find so gratifying is that when I have these interviews with people from either the diocese or the national church or in our local community, or even from our church, right? All of a sudden, uh, I'm getting all this wisdom from them, and it's like, and then it's like having like a conversation with someone, a personal conversation, but then you have everyone who's listening in,
Right.
who, who's getting those nuggets of wisdom, and then they're finding their own resilience in the moment with those nuggets of wisdom, you know.
Yeah.
I just like, yesterday we had someone from New Hampshire come in, and she's thinking about doing something similar to in her diocese.
Nice.
A food for thought out there. And I mean, she was a professor at a seminary, and she's doing pastoral care and counseling. But it was this, and then she gave us so much wisdom just about how to just be, in the moment. It was good. It was really good. It was really good. What do you think are some of the challenges we might have as we continue to do, as you continue to do your job connecting us together? What are some of the challenges?
I think certainly we have a lot of sort of technological challenges we're dealing with, and we're all trying to sort of learn all these new things on Zoom and live streaming, and what kind of cameras do we need, and how do we do this, and oh, there's no good Wi-Fi in the church, and things like that.
Yeah,
And it's a challenge, and it's certainly a challenge for a lot of people who've not been all that computer savvy in the past to try and catch up with, oh, how do I do this? Where do I click? And it's a little frightening for a lot of people, I know. But I think it can be managed, and I think that also we need to not focus entirely on the technical things too, but also figure how do we help along the folks who just maybe aren't going to get on the technical bandwagon? What are the other ways that we can continue to connect with them? And I think it is a challenge to try and keep both tracks in view. because you can get so consumed with one aspect of things that you sort of, oh wait, we've still got to figure this out too. But I think it's doable, and I think we're all trying our best, which
Yeah.
is all we can do, right? So
Right, right. You know, you bring up a really interesting point because I gotta tell you, I am so inspired by my people who are like a lot of them are over 65, and you know, and I'm in my 50s, right? And I was kind of scared. You know, you would think I would love technology, but I wasn't until this moment, right? And
mhm.
so, and this moment is what I do is I actually rely on all the people around me, the people that know,
Mhm.
like my parish
Right.
administrator, Ben, the producer of our show here. They help us. Or Caswell Cook, who's our junior warden, who's into this thing. But I've been so inspired by my congregation because those folks who are over 65, they're on Zoom now, and it's like second nature to them.
Right.
They're on Food for Thought. They're on Facebook Live. It's like beautiful.
Yeah, it's really been fun to watch some of that. I mean, I know even in my personal life, my mother was never very computer savvy. She's It took a long time to get her to use email,
But she's using
but
it.
she's doing it, and now she has a group of people from her congregation that they get together for morning prayer a couple of times a week on Zoom, and it's lovely, and it's just been really great to watch her sort of push forward. It is something that was scary for her, and now she's getting something really great out of it. So
Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful thing, and that inspires me. Now there is that other part also. There are some of my folks who just can't seem to get it, and we have people helping them and everything. It's just hard. So here's where we're starting to think outside the box on this thing. I mean, everyone has a TV. They've been using TVs. No, so
right.
what we're now looking into is this possibility of taking our services that are online
Mhm.
and and food for thought and all of these things and kind of putting it into the cable networks that we have.
Right.
And it's public access TV.
Mhm. It's there, and it is some. There is, I know, one other parish in the diocese that is doing that. Yeah, they're taking a DVD of their Sunday services over to the local cable access channel, and they're running it a couple of times a week.
And that's beautiful. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
And I think that's so using traditional media now with TV now being traditional media, and then trying to access it in a way that's really good for those people who need it. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. How are you finding about the services now? I mean, I know we are doing in-person services, and
Mhm.
we leaned in heavily into the online services, and so we're doing in-person services, but we're following those guidelines that that you guys and the diocese put out, and also the state and CDC guidelines too. Uh,
Mhm.
but we're also streaming our in-person services. That's
Yeah.
where so we're how are you finding with other people in our diocese? How are they doing with that?
There's a lot of the same thing going on. It's been great with the weather and being in Rhode Island. It's such a beautiful spot. A lot of people are being able to do their services outside, which is really terrific for the distancing and the ventilation and all of that. And then they're streaming these things. They've got a camera set up outside and they're streaming. There's some other places that are maybe streaming a service, a service sort of like what we were doing prior to opening up. Just maybe the priest and one or two other people, and that's what they're streaming. But then they're doing an in-person service as well. It's a hybrid. Everyone's sort of doing what makes the most sense for them in their parish and what their technology allows them to do, what they're comfortable with, and I think that's perfect. We should all just do what makes sense to an individual parish. I mean, you want your worship to reflect your community.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable with this, then don't do this. Do that. Do what works for you, and people will respond to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I love that. But do something. In other
Do
words,
something. Yeah.
something. Just not be afraid of this, but because and one of the things that it's really interesting is that we know that COVID-19 is going to end. It will. I mean,
Someday.
it will. It will. I mean, there are vaccines that are coming up, and we don't know how long that timeline is going to. What the timeline might look like, but it will end. But what I think is what's more enduring than the actual virus is the lessons we learn from it.
Yeah.
Lessons about who we are, how we meet a problem, how we meet challenges,
Right.
how do we face them, And I think you at the top of our show, you were saying, resilience is the key, and faith.
Right. And that's hopefully resilience is one of the things that our faith enables us to have. We can continue to press forward and make it work, and know that there will be times when we get down, when we're discouraged, but ultimately, if we just sort of keep believing in what we're doing and why we're doing it, we can keep going.
All right, good. Kristin, so let me ask you, on a lighter note, what brings you great joy? What makes you smile like you just did?
Family. My son brings me great joy. He's a wonderful boy. Friendship. I'm blessed with some really wonderful friends, and some lifelong friends that I've kept here in Rhode Island, even during all the years I was gone. Wasn't that far, but still I was away, and now I'm back. And one of my dearest friends is just less than a mile from me.
Wow,
And
beautiful.
we've been friends since we were 13, and it's just a terrific thing to have friends that go back that far.
Beautiful.
And my work, the work I'm doing here is really gratifying. It really brings me a lot of joy to help people with these things. And I also have my other job, my other life is I'm a jewelry artist, and that brings me a lot of joy.
Really? You do jewelry? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking about getting my wife one of those Alex and Annie things.
Mm-hmm.
Those little charm bracelet things.
Yeah.
Wow, she might be actually listening to this.
Forget you heard this.
So do you actually create the jewelry?
I do.
Really? Wow. Okay. Was it Alex and Annie is actually from Rhode Island, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I mean, she not that's really wild. That's really great. So it's cool. I'd love to see your jewelry pieces. It'd be interesting. What brings me great joy is connecting with people and making new friends. And I am grateful for our friendship with you, my friendship with you, and my new friendship with you, Kristin.
I am
And
well.
yeah, and I'm looking forward to continuing to connect with the diocese, and then hopefully as we continue to. I mean, we have a great bishop. We have Nick Knisely's amazing.
He has been a really great leader through all of this, I think.
Yeah, and Dina is also wonderful. She actually came down a couple of times, and she's been on this show too.
Good.
And we have some great staff, diocesan staff, and I'm always grateful for the work that all of you do for us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it is a good group at Diocesan House, or not so much at Diocesan House now, but it is a group that works well together, I think, and we've done well with sort of staying connected, even though we can't see each other in the office anymore. But we gather for morning prayer 5 days a week and have that little time to check in with each other before we get started with our days every morning, and it's a good thing.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
It's a great thing. Well, Kristin, thank you again. God bless you, and maybe we'll have you come back again. If there's a new initiative in the diocese, I'd love to maybe share it through Food for Thought.
Sure. All right. This has been fun. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. God bless you.
Oh, God bless.
Yes, another great person in our diocese, someone who is doing some great things, connecting us, helping us to build up our resilience and helping us in our diocese. And it is a joy. Not only Kristin, of course, Kristin, and then also Dina and Bishop Nisley, and then the whole gang that's there. You know, perhaps we'll get them back, Bishop Nisley back on the show too, to connect with us and maybe help us to kind of continue to be strengthened by his leadership. But now let us end our time with the prayer that we usually say, prayer that's adopted from Bishop Thomas Brown's prayer of Maine. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Jesus Christ, you traveled through towns and villages, curing every disease and illness. At your command, the sick were made well. Come to our aid now in the midst of the global spread of the coronavirus. Heal those who are sick with the virus. May they regain their strength and health through quality medical care. Heal us from our fear, which prevents nations from working together and neighbors from helping one another. Be present with those in authority who are making hard decisions. Support the medical professionals, emergency responders, counselors and caregivers, teachers and students. We ask this all in your name, Jesus. Amen. Join with me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Friends, go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Spread the light of Christ. The world needs it right now.